Hey guys, welcome to Cyclone Simulator. Well, yeah, Cyclone Simulator. So there's a link at the top of the screen for the actual ability to actually play this game. This game is good at actually, how do I say it, simulating tropical cyclone seasons. I had to record this video like twice. Mom just came by, and the first time I recorded a video was 55 minutes, but I was doing the exact same thing I did before, which was record basically nothing. You could hear me, but I can't show anything because I was recording nothing because I forgot to switch the screen display. That's my bad. But we're past that now. We have an intensity indicator, auto-saving. These are just settings, but intensity indicator tells you how strong your storm is. Track mode, you have multiple different track modes. This tells you the track of a storm if it's from its inception, no matter what it is. Extratropical, tropical wave, when it's actually like a tropical cyclone itself, it shows you the entire thing. Season summary shows you all the tracks of the season at one time, but not their extratropical phase or their tropical wave phase, unless the tropical wave or extratropical wave phase transitioned back into tropical phase later on. No track is obvious. Active tropical cyclone tracks is also pretty obvious, but except it only takes when the storm was actually tropical. Snow layers. This just tells you how close you are to winter, basically. When you see snow start to build up, you're getting closer and closer to winter. When it starts melting, you're getting farther and farther away from it. This typically begins to peak in late. Snow typically peaks within the middle of winter to late winter, and then it starts melting in middle of winter, and then starts melting in late winter, and in summer it's at its lowest in midsummer, and then once you get towards the peak of your cyclone season, then the snow starts to come back. Land shadows. The magnifying glass allows you to see things more clearly, so you can see arrows on the map for wind shear, upper level, steering currents, stuff like that, and ocean temperatures. See that easier with the magnifying glass. Smooth land color. It's not really too important, but it makes it look better. Wind speed unit. Use this for whatever measurement you want. Miles per hour, kilometers an hour, knots. And then your color scheme is for whatever color you want the storms to appear on a map. Now, in the new Basin Tab, talking about some important things here. You have your northern hemisphere and you have your southern hemisphere. The southern hemisphere is opposite towards the northern hemisphere, so all your seasons are inverted. In the northern hemisphere, you start the year in January. In the southern hemisphere, you start in July. The peak season in the northern hemisphere is August and September. In the southern hemisphere, it is February and March. So, take that as you will. The jet stream will move toward the north. Starts in the northern part of starts in the northern part of the world, but starts on the upper portion of your screen in the northern hemisphere, and is on the southern portion of your screen in the southern hemisphere, because the poles are inverted. So that means the warming patterns are different. So in the northern hemisphere, warmer water starts at the bottom of the screen, works its way up. In the southern hemisphere, it works from the top of the screen down. And usually, the warming and cooling phases are strongest the month transitioning directly into the next season. So transitioning into summer and transitioning into winter are the times in both hemispheres where the water temperatures change the quickest. Current years makes sense. You could type in whatever year you want the starting year. If you're in the southern hemisphere, please be aware that when you put in your starting year, you don't actually start in 2020 whatever or whatever year you put in here. You start in the year before it, because in the southern hemisphere tropical cyclone season the naming list release starts in July. Starts July 1st. So because of that, the season technically starts July 1st, and then you have to go through the entire year. You get to December, change the years you get into January, and then your peak season is 2 months after the new year. And then you drop off later on, and then when you hit the end of June, the naming list resets, usually. Speaking of which, simulation mode, normal just has like a normal climate, where the jet stream moves north and south depending on the season. Everything's basically predictable. Warmer water in the west part of the basin, cooler water in the eastern part of the basin, and then tropical waves start developing during your season, and they don't form in the winter months. And just in general, it behaves mostly like real life, I would say. Hyper is global warming taken on steroids. Wild makes all those changes I mentioned in the normal go drastic and varying in how intense they are. The warming periods are very strong, and the cooling periods are too as well. It's very crazy. Mega blobs, I forgot how this works. And experimental is completely weird. Experimental, you could have basically anything happen. These are your weather scales. Saffir-Simpson goes from Category 1 to Category 5 officially, but Tropical Depression and Tropical Storm come beforehand. You start at Tropical Depression, then you go to Tropical Storm, then you enter Category 1 Hurricane status, then 2, then 3, then 4, and 5. Extended Saffir-Simpson is the same scale, but goes all the way up to Category 10, which I believe has wind speeds of about like 400 miles per hour, I think. I have to check. You have your Australian scale, your JMA scale in the West Pacific, Indian Meteorological Department, Southwest Indian Ocean. Each area has its own scale, but we're going to be using Saffir-Simpson today. Not going to be generating a new basin, though. Designations, I believe, are for names. Each place on the world has its own designation for names. So designations for Atlantic will give you all the Atlantic names currently in use, including including the current list. So names that were retired in previous seasons do not appear here at all unless you want to manually change. And you change the names for it to appear. So this also includes the auxiliary list for the Atlantic Ocean because of the 2020 hurricane season, where we had 30 named storms, 14 hurricanes, and 7 major hurricanes, and it was a devastating season. After that season, there's an auxiliary list that's been in place since 2021. So that list is used here in the Atlantic and in the Eastern Pacific once you run out of names. You can also add an auxiliary list to any other basin that you want to. So you have the Atlantic, East Pac, Central Pac, West Pac, Pagasa, which is the Philippines, North Indian Ocean, Australian region, South Pacific, Southwest Indian Ocean, South Atlantic, Mediterranean, and then regions based by city, and then time periods for the Atlantic and the Eastern Pacific. You get the periodic table here, and then you're back to the Atlantic. Your map type, I would prefer 2 continents and West Continent. If you were looking for landfalls and looking for like an actual jam-packed action season, that's what I will look for. Island Ocean can be cool too. Central Continent and Central Inland Sea I have not tried. And then you have your Atlantic, your Eastern Pacific. These are all real-life places. Australian, North Indian, West Pac, South Pacific, Southwest Indian Ocean, South Atlantic, Mediterranean, and then we're back here. God mode only affects if you can place down storms or not. If this is disabled, you can't use commands. You can't put press keys on your board while clicking the screen to place down a storm. That's all it really does, but you can use it strategically to get whatever you want if you can read the layers on the map correctly. And then seed is the randomizer that affects how random events in the game occur. I haven't found a really powerful seed yet, but eventually we'll find one. I think we'll find one eventually. I gotta see if the exact same thing happens every time if I put in sheet 5, for example. So, we'll look at load basin. Look at the YT basin. I used this thing multiple times already. But, alright. So, general rule of thumb. What you got here? Low level steering affects tropical waves. Upper level steering affects extratropical systems and fully tropical systems that are tropical storm status or higher. Wind shear affects tropical storm intensity. If wind shear is too strong, the storm can either not intensify, weakens down, or turns into a tropical wave again. Or it can turn into extratropical storm if it gets into the jet stream. Tropical waves do get deleted by the jet stream instantly if they move into it. Sea surface temperature anomaly tells you how much warmer or colder a specific part of the ocean is compared to what it should be. So, for example, this area in the West Caribbean is 1.5 degrees Celsius cooler than what it should be. And right now the temperature there is around 23.8 degrees Celsius. So this should be 25.5 degrees Celsius during February. And relative humidity affects how quickly a tropical cyclone can get itself together. If the relative humidity is too low, a tropical wave will not easily become a tropical depression, which gives the atmosphere time to send wind shear its way and make sure it doesn't develop. So, dry air is a big issue through winter, but during peak season, it tends to not be a problem. So, speaking which, we'll use that for some magnifying glass now. Where it at? Okay. This magnifying glass makes it easier to tell where the wind is blowing for each little tile. You can use this in your low-level steering, your upper-level steering. You can see winds are turning northeast there. Your wind shear, same thing. Your magnifying glass to see how warm different parts of the ocean are and where the gradient starts coming in. And where, specifically for 28 degrees Celsius, you can see where exactly it's popping up. So it says, even though it looks like a grid there, if you look closer, it's not. Warm water is effectively in a lot of these areas. Over here as well. This gives a more realistic look to where the warm water is. Although this can be very laggy very quickly, depending on how much stuff is happening. So I wouldn't recommend it. And then up here is your speed. Edit designations edits the name list. You can do it in here. Add prefixes. Add list. Change the auxiliary list as well if you want to. Add another one. Adding another auxiliary list just means that if you complete the first auxiliary list, the next auxiliary list is also used. So if you have list 1, let's say you get through the complete Atlantic list, you get through the auxiliary list as well, then whatever list you have afterward will be next in line to be used. Oh, that will be incredibly rare outside of using God mode. If you understand, because the game doesn't spawn storms that fast. You need at least to get out, at least in like maybe September or August, you need to at least get 15 storms out in 1 month. Which under normal circumstances is very hard for the game to do. But it's possible if you know how to use God mode and can position stuff correctly. It's not too hard using God mode, but actually having the game do that, it's almost impossible. At least from my experience. You do get pretty strong seasons, but you don't get like hyperactive gangbuster seasons like 2020, usually. At least from what I've noticed. You don't usually get those type of seasons, the ones that go crazy and break the stratosphere and what could possibly be done. So, as you can see, if we were to look at what? What? Hello? The program is committed a crime and will now cease to exist. That's crazy. What are you talking about, bro? Okay, that's a bit weird. But yeah, this was the 2021 season, the one where the game did it itself. Oh no, the game didn't do it itself. I did it for it. But yeah, as you can see, if I were to look at upper level steering, this is what transitioning into peak season, into the actual Cyclone season will look like. Your jet stream is no longer like hovering around here or around here anymore. It's up here, generally. And that allows you to get brief periods, breaks, which I'll highlight in green. Breaks in green where storms can actually develop, like here, here, here if this was over water, but not in areas like here. That's terrible. Game, give it back to me. Not in areas like here, here, and definitely not here. Well, let's get rid of that. Can't get storms developing in those areas. So, the storm will follow the upper level steering, and then it will feel it. But if the storm isn't far enough north, it won't get carried away, and we'll have an Anna situation where it just moves westward continuously. This was a bit of a lucky season because the actual jet stream moved farther north just right after, so that allowed Anna to move into Mexico. That usually does not happen, but it's possible. Now, besides that, this is usually what I would say, like a beginning season, not beginning season, but like mid, not peak season either, but between beginning and mid season, like this is your late July type stuff. You get a large area that's has low wind shear. You could tell this is not late July though, because not just because of the month. If you were to look at like the ocean, it's not late July because the Gulf of Mexico is not completely warm. There will be some years where even like the best places to develop tropical cyclones are just way too cold. Not cold like this, but they're cold like they're 25 degrees Celsius, or they're a little bit is 24, 23 sneaking in there. That you can't really get an actual like good storm that you get out of these areas, which is really bad. But I will say that even in this 28 degrees Celsius water down here, 27, 28, the storm could develop in there, yes. If the water temperatures are around 27 or lower, the storms are not going to get together quickly unless conditions are basically perfect. At least from my experience, they don't usually do that. So if I were to jump to like point C here, like this is a much better generation environment for tropical cyclones. They don't generate into gangbuster type storms, but they do something. Like Category 2 Claudette misses Jamaica just barely. And then you have it move over Florida as you have a flurry of activity that comes up behind it. Nothing gets too strong due to this wind shear right there. Nothing gets too strong. It doesn't really redevelop. So water's not super hot either. But even regardless, any storm that already is developed, if a storm already has tropical depression status and it's over these waters, a tropical wave is not going to take advantage of this. A tropical depression will, though. And will get its act together relatively quickly. As you can see, like Kate gets its act together off that. Makes landfall in Central America. You see we have some more storms coming up behind there. More major storms. Mindy, Larry, Nicholas. I did form up Peter up there. Mindy moves into Central America. Larry starts weakening down. Nicholas also weakens down. Odette weakens down, but not enough to actually substantially keep it weak. Because this, what kills the storm here? This wind shear does weaken down these storms a bit. It does do that, but it's not enough to keep them weakened down. It's not enough to do that. So that re-strengthens regardless of what happens to it from this wind shear situation. Okay, I see what that's happening. That's passing through this area of dry air. That's what's keeping it from strengthening quickly. Yeah, low relative humidity keeps storms from strengthening very quickly, by the way. That's something I'll notice. If the relative humidity is not like above 60%, the storm is not going to get its act together. That's just a guarantee. And that gets stronger again, comes to Cat 4, and then it gets picked up by the jet stream, and you have a hurricane that's extratropical in strength, an extratropical storm making landfall in southeastern Louisiana. In real life, that will probably be, in this situation, that will probably be a hurricane. It wouldn't be post-tropical yet. It would probably be post-tropical over Mississippi, or like where it is right now over the Western Appalachians. But you will probably actually have an actual hurricane making landfall in Louisiana in that graph, especially with that pressure. You have actual hurricane. But regardless, you have hurricane impacts. You have Sam. That moves westward. Teresa makes landfall too far south. You have Victor. Makes a Cat 2 landfall in Nicaragua. But yeah, just in general, like this warm water here, just like looking for the best places for tropical cyclones. This hot water here is very beneficial. Just like drop it down. This hot water right here is very beneficial. All of this, we'll use a different color here. All of this warm water in general is very beneficial for storms. All this is very beneficial. And then this blue area, this is beneficial, but it's not like rocket fuel or anything. You could sustain a storm there, but it's not really going to help it get that click that it needs to actually start doing a lot of stuff. That's generally how the game works. Now, the jet stream, I will go back. You will compare the jet stream from this part of the season. From here, you will compare peak season in red to where the jet stream in winter would be. So the jet stream in peak season, something like this. This is very good for tropical cyclone development since the jet stream is all the way up there. And we will now skip back to 2022. We'll get like a tropical depression here. Or tropical storm, why not? Let's just pull like a random tropical storm down there. Alright, Alex gets named. It's fine. Now we will draw where the jet stream is in off season, the peak of winter. Just do start seeing more of these coming. This is where the jet stream is in winter. See the big difference here? You have a dip into tropical cyclone development areas. And you have it being farther south, but you notice all this wind shear south of it. Which is not good for the storm at all. Program keeps committing a crime. I don't know what's happening, man. Alright, but still. Those are general positions of where the jet stream would be in the game. It won't always look like this, but just in general, if we clear it, have this. In general, during peak season, your jet stream will be somewhere, need a bigger line. In general, in peak season, your jet stream will be somewhere up here, on average. And in winter, your jet stream will be somewhere around here. So any movement that you do see, something like this, actually, this, get rid of both of these. Something like this, your peak, and just in the southern hemisphere, invert this. In your peak, and in your your minimum phase. So the jet stream in the northern hemisphere on its farthest north point will be 1/4, will encompass, on a 1/4 line of the screen, the game. So 1/4 of the screen will be under the influence of the jet stream and will not be able to support tropical cyclones. And in the winter phase, half the screen and up to potentially 2/3 in the worst case scenario will be unfavorable for tropical cyclones, because north of the line can't have them at all, and then south of the line you have to be dependent on wind shear, warm water, and dry air not to be too much of an issue. Not warm water, cold water, dry air, and wind shear to be too much of an issue. This is generally what you will look for. Now, how would that play into an actual season? I don't really know for this one, but we'll play it out. We'll get rid of join into. We'll play it in this. I think this is the most informative way to do it. We'll zoom in. We won't need Epic Pen for this. We'll just let the game run. Just let the game run and do its thing. As you can see, it's like March 2022. If we speed it up here, we'll just get to like spring a little bit faster. You see the snow is melting rather quickly in Canada up there. Snow tends to melt very quickly in this game. You see warmer water in the western Gulf of Mexico. You're starting to see it. Starting seeing warming of the tropical Atlantic, the Caribbean Sea, the Eastern Pacific starting to warm up. It's no longer just warm. It's starting to get a bit no longer cool to comfortable. It's not starting to get warm down there. It's June, officially your hurricane season. You got a patch of hot water off of the east coast of Africa. Have a patch of it. So we'll see if anything tries to take advantage of that. If nothing does take advantage of it, I will put something down. But in general, I want to see the season just do its own thing. The speed icon up here is just like a general guidepost. If you click this, you can see everything, and then you can view the timeline to jump to a specific area that you want as well. I forgot what to do up here with this thing. I think this changes the tick rate. And speed, you can go up to max 32 times speed, and then I think the slowest is like 1/32 times speed. I'm not sure. Okay, it's July now. Have adding storms develop, so we'll pick our location. Alright, that one looks pretty good. I think if we have like a tropical depression right there, I think Alex will do pretty well there. I think that's pretty good. First major hurricane on the scene. It is lagging pretty badly. I will say that. So, F05L, not too much is developing. Bonnie moves into the Gulf. It should no longer exist at this point. We'll get more tropical waves coming off, just to give the season a bit of a boost. Also get like a tropical wave to develop over Florida, because we want to see where it goes. Earl just redeveloped. Earl redevelops. I doubt it redevelops again. But we'll see. Hermine's also a storm. There's plenty of tropical waves now coming off. It's a little bit too many, but The game has to run it somehow. Carl comes a major hurricane. Lisa does too. Stronger. They both hit Nicaragua, the northern coast of it. Jamaica gets hit. Haiti as well. Cuba. This warm patch out in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, we'll wait a bit. We'll wait now. I think this is a good time. So we'll put something over this warm patch. Game. This game does not like me. There we go. Put something over the warm patch. It should move out. Nicole redevelops. It does impact Mexico. Owen does not redevelop. And just in general, the season hasn't been too, it's been active, yes, but it hasn't been too destructive, I would say. I've seen some more destructive seasons, if I'm going to be honest. But to each their own. We'll zoom into the future. You can see all that hot water just developing around Florida. It's gone as soon as winter approaches. Still some hot water in the western Gulf of Mexico. That's going to be very, very big. Now, we have the ocean starting to warm up now. Not that low. I don't know. This game is lagging really badly due to OBS, unfortunately. I wish OBS was better sometimes. And doesn't take away your resources that much. Cindy, it's a major hurricane out there. We will put something inside the Gulf, I will say. We will put something inside the Gulf. Something has to get there. Emily, it's a cat 3. It's cat 4 as its max intensity. Okay, Franklin's still moving westward. Yeah, the game isn't responding to my commands anymore. The game just is not responding. Nigel does something. Category 4 landfall in Texas. But yeah, any storm that does develop, pause. The game does not want to listen to me. We'll get a tropical depression there. Then we'll get another one right there. And we'll do the thought experiment of having upper level low right there. And I can put something here on top of this. Yeah, that's Sean. We'll put something on top of there. Just to get that warm water out. If it doesn't work like that. But yeah, overall, I would say the game's starting to do well. Still have warm water in the west part of the basin, but I think wind shear is trying to become an issue where I can't really place anything down. Fortunately. Yeah, it's just not responding to my mouse. It does not like me. Come on. Now, I waited a full month, and the water's cold now, almost. Alright, Tammy's the last storm. It makes landfall on the Yucatan. And, if you guys want to check out the timeline, this is the timeline. 2 storms in July. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I think it's the same storm. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 storms in August. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 storms in September, which is the record in real life. 1, 2, 3. 3 storms in October, and 1 last storm in November. So, this season, if it were to happen in real life, will be historic. Very historic. Probably would not kill that many people, but the damages will be a lot higher than $19 million. It will be a lot higher than that. But yeah, we'll save the basin, and then we'll switch back. Alright guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Just a brief explainer of how the game works. I would say that I just want to make sure that I can actually record the game and make sure it doesn't lag as often, because lag is pretty bad on OBS for me, but at least I got the video like made, so that's good. Alright, I'm gonna make sure I have this video cut out the beginning intro and the end intro, just so it's easier. But I don't have to do too much actual editing for you guys. Alright, I hope you guys do well and have a good day. So you guys aren't sick. I mean, my nose is like doing stuff right now. It's probably because I haven't cleaned this table, because then when I sat at the table, I've been sitting here for 3 hours, my nose became stuffed because of that. So because of the dust. So I have to clear that out. But hopefully you guys are doing well. If I do have an actual illness, I will let you guys know. And yeah, hope you guys are doing well. Bye!